Well, welcome everybody. We usually start the meeting with introductions. Victoria was kind enough to put the agenda up on the chat bar, and I think we'll start off with just going around and everybody introduce themselves. I'll start off with, as I see people on the screen, if I miss anybody, shout out. So I'll start with Dan.
Hey, Dan Goldman, Twin Realty. We own and manage rental income property, both commercial and multi-housing. I'm going to let Kara, I see Kara's here. She'll tell you some good news about what's happening with us today.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Good morning, Mark Merovitz. I'm a commercial banker with Midwest One Bank at our office in Golden Valley on 10th and Winnetka. I'm also a longtime Golden Valley resident and a board member of PRISM.
Okay, thank you. Al?
Good morning, everybody. Al Swintek. I'm with CenterPoint Energy, and happy to report that the large project that we've had on Winnetka that's gone through Golden Valley, Crystal, and New Hope is literally, weeks away from being completed for this year. So, yay.
Thank you, Al. Margaret, our speaker.
Yeah. Margaret Selva from Pucón Massage and Atacama Sauna. My business is on 55 and 100 in Golden Valley.
Betsy.
Good morning, everybody. Betsy Anderson, Golden Valley Rotary, Communications for Perpich Center for Arts Education, Golden Valley resident, parent of Hopkins Public Schools. It's probably enough for now.
Maurice. Mute. We have to get you unmuted.
I still do that after 7 months of this. Maurice Harris, Golden Valley City Council.
Thank you. Christine.
Good morning, everyone. Christine Workamp, Executive Director of Community Education for Robbinsdale Area Schools.
Mark. Novinsky.
Good morning, everyone. Mark Novinsky, City of Golden Valley, Physical Development.
Kara.
Hi, Kara Frank, Twin Realty Investment Company, and as Dan mentioned, we are closing today on a new building in Golden Valley. So we'll be purchasing an office building, 4800 Olson Memorial Highway.
Good. Well, we'll have to get more details in a meeting about that. That sounds exciting. Yep. Brianna.
Yeah. Hi, this is Brianna Miller. I'm the Advancement Director at PRISM in Golden Valley.
Katie.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Katie O'Shea Pederson. First time on the call, so thanks for inviting me. The main reason I'm on is I'm school board member, Hopkins Public Schools, here to give you an update on that. Also, Meadowbrook mom, longtime Golden Valley resident. So thanks for the invite.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, well, everybody, we've got to start with our speaker, but I'm Gary Aiken, by the way. I chair the committee. This the Business Council is a joint effort between Twin West and the Golden Valley Rotary, and we've been doing it for a number of years. There's other business councils you may want to attend if you're involved with other cities. You can go to the Twin West website and get all the calendar and the activities there. So today we're going to have Margaret from Pucón Massage present about her business, and I've been a client in the past. She's really super, so I'm really looking forward to this. Go, Margaret. It's the table. The spotlight's for you. You got 45 minutes.
Oh God. Okay, that's a lot. So again, my name is Margaret. I own Pucón Massage and the Atacama Sauna. I am so happy that I'm actually going to be able to do this today because as much as pictures would be able to show you what the sauna looks like, giving you a virtual tour is just going to be that much better. And it's only kind of in this circumstance that we can make it happen. So this actually works out really nicely. First, I thought start off with kind of how I started off as a business owner, then get into how I became involved in sauna, and then talk about the sauna and all the sauna benefits. So my story begins in Minneapolis. I used to be a Minneapolis middle school math teacher, and I just needed something different. I never studied abroad when I was in college. So I decided I wanted to go somewhere that was Spanish speaking, stable, and somewhere people haven't gone before. And so I moved to Chile. I lived in Santiago, Chile, and I worked at a university there and actually got my first massage job in the downtown. One of the vacations I took was to Pucón. Pucón is in southern Chile. It's on the way down to Patagonia, and it is a dream world. We're talking mountains, forests, just lakes, volcanoes even, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So then when I was done with my time in Chile, I moved up to Peru, and on my way up there, I did some traveling. And one of the places I went was the Atacama Desert. And so the Atacama Desert is is the driest deserts in the world. And so it makes it ideal for stargazing. There are hot springs, salt flats. It's absolutely beautiful up there. After teaching in Peru in a international school there, I moved back to Minnesota, taught a little bit longer, but then started my massage business and my massage career. So it's a little background with that. And so then the names will make sense when I show you the outside of the sauna. How did I get started with sauna in general? I never grew up we didn't have a cabin. We didn't have a sauna downstairs. I am not a typical Minnesotan. Like you kind of know what it is, but you don't, I never like had that full experience. So what I do know is when I started massaging a lot more, my hands would get really weak and tired. And so one of the things I remembered that we learned from massage school was hydrotherapy, where you put your hands in ice water and then in hot water for like 30 seconds at a time and go back and forth, back and forth. And so what that's doing is helping with the blood flow, helping with the lymph flow, and just kind of renewing your hands and your wrists. So I knew that kind of the extreme heat and the health benefits with that kind of stuff. So when I heard about the 612 Sauna Society, I was curious. So the 612 Sauna Society is a member-owner co-op in Minneapolis. It is a 15-person sauna, and how they started out was they would do pop-ups in different places in Minneapolis for like a month. So they were at like Loveland Landscaping and the Norway House and the American Swedish Institute, places like that. And once I was in it, I was like, oh, okay, so this hot cold thing, I see what you're doing over here. And so I wanted to become a part of it. At that time, when it was traveling around, they would have volunteers open, run it, and close it. So that's what I did. I just wanted to find out everything about saunas. How do you run it? What do you do? How do you clean it? How do you set it up? How do you start the fire? What should you do at the end of the night? Because I knew I wanted to have this as a part of my massage practice, and to add to just the benefits of living up in the north. I mean, where else can you find a place where you can go from extreme hot to extreme cold? And one of those things is natural and not just two man-made things. And so I loved it. So now the 612 sauna is down at, I don't know if you see it at Theodore Wirth Park at the Trailhead. I was one of the first employees to work the sauna at the Trailhead. And then the next sauna season, I then had my own sauna and started working on it. So that's kind of the background there. So yeah, let me show you the sauna. Okay, let's see if I can figure out how to, oh, there. Technology, I love it. Okay, here we go. So So here is the outside of it. It is a 7x12 unit, so it can fit into a parking spot. It's built by Custom Mobile Saunas, but they now changed their name to Voyager Sauna. Eric Bonsgard is the lead builder and the designer and the welder and all the, making all of the saunas from the ground up. He is a former custom fish house builder. So this was just an easy transition into making something that can be picked up easily, moved easily, be light enough, all of those components. So I designed it so that the changing room would have the extra height. I wanted it to feel bigger. I wanted it to have more natural light in there. Just to feel more welcoming and warming. My very good friend, Anthony Sheldon, is the one who designed the wrap. And I absolutely love it. Couldn't be happier. All right, so if we head on in. All right. Okay, so this is the changing room. It is solar, so all the lights in here are LED, run by the solar unit that's on the top of the changing room. My dad helped me mill the design into the wood, and then I spent the summer painting it to make it kind of look like tile. I wanted to give a nod to bathhouses, hammams, things of that nature. And since tile is so heavy, I needed something to kind of mimic that. So of course it's a changing room. So if people wanted to, they could change inside here. Otherwise they can change inside of the, they could change inside of the wellness center, get water, use the restroom, all of that kind of stuff. All right. So there's plenty of places to put your things, a lot of natural light. So then, more importantly, let's get into the sauna. I'm going to take my shoes off. All right, so here we go. As you can see in a typical sauna, we've got a lower bench and an upper bench. We've got the Kuma stove. The Kuma stoves are made in Tower, Minnesota. And that's what I really loved about getting my sauna from a local builder. So Eric with Voyager Saunas is in Shakopee. The stove is from Minnesota. A lot of things are already right here. And so that's what I really loved and appreciated about it. My dad and I made the floorboards as well as the back bench. And then when you kind of sit up on the top bench, you kind of a nice view of some trees, but mainly the parking lot. Yeah. So typically, I'm trying to play around with about how many people you can fit in here. I say about 5. And even that is starting to get kind of in a little bit of a tight squeeze, especially if you have some athletes. So, if you get a bunch of bigger people in here, it gets a little tight. But one of the health benefits comes from doing the hot and cold transition. So you would kind of rely on people to be out cooling down while some people can be inside warming up. So any questions before I get into the health benefits?
Margaret, I've got some questions.
Yes, please.
So 5 people pre-COVID or in COVID?
Excellent question.
Or 5 people in the same pod, maybe.
Oh, let's talk about it. So I shut down in March, even though there were some heavy people in the sauna community that was like, let's think about this. An ideal sauna has a couple of components. One of the components is it's at least 180 degrees.
The second part of it too is that there's good ventilation. So you have enough space under the door and you have ventilation up top. So it's kind of, think of it more as, instead of like putting something and closing an oven, it's more a constant hair dryer. So there's fresh air coming in, being heated up and moving around. So people are like, okay, let's think about this. If there's nobody in there and I close the sauna door and wait maybe 5 minutes, everything's dead. Everything's dead. Nothing's going, no bacteria and virus is going to be alive. When people are inside sharing the same space, then there's a possibility of transmission. So exactly like what you're saying. Now I've had to change it. Instead of opening it and saying, yeah, come on in for, take a sauna and you might be in there with other people, it's going to be fine. Not the case anymore. So you'll see a lot more, if there are public saunas that choose to be open right now, they're private sessions only. So that's what I have. So you can rent the sauna for an hour, but it's just you and the people in your inner circle or your pod, like you're saying. Because that would be the responsible thing to do as a business owner, of course, because like then you get to choose and monitor each other's health, like while you're in here. Excellent question.
And then when people are cooling down, is that a strange sight to see as you're driving by? That you like a bunch of, like, what? How does that look?
Yes. So I guess it doesn't faze me anymore, just because I've been with the sauna community for so long. But yeah, people are out here in their swimsuits. Yeah, doing the cool down, but it's kind of, you just get that really cool picture too of like right when you come out of the sauna and you're steaming. It looks pretty cool. And yeah, just people get curious. I don't know if here, I can go back outside. Luckily, so the building I am in is owned by Platinum Remodeling. And so they made a really lovely, not even just for me, but just for the space in general. They made just this lovely bench area with some trees. So it's not completely exposed, but of course, like you still have, things out in the parking lot. I run it Thursday and Friday evenings, and then Saturday mornings. So kind of times when there's really not that many people around. So it's not as awkward kind of hanging out in your bathing suit. And I kind of make it too so that even if people are using it, I don't take pictures of people's in their bathing suits very often, just because I know how, uncomfortable people can get. So. Excellent questions. I like it. So with the health benefits, I will start off by saying there's a lot. When you come into different sauna traditions and even heat and cold therapy traditions that are all over the world for, centuries, you're going to find a lot of like anecdotal stuff first. But the research isn't quite there yet. So when we talk about good data, there's only a handful of sauna research that has been done with large quantities of people. And guess where that is? Finland. So we're talking about Finnish people and not necessarily people in the United States. Now, there is a guy here named Glenn, I think it's Auerbach. He is a sauna freak. He does a podcast, Sauna Talk. He has a, he has a book to help people build their own saunas. He is just a nut about this. And I think he is trying to pull more resources together so we can have really good data about how beneficial traditional wood-burning saunas are. So I'm going to preface that. Another thing about the research is the more often you do sauna, the more benefits you would get. And that's what the research has shown us. Like, sure, there's going to be some benefits if you do it once or twice a week, but the big benefits are when you're doing it 4 to 7 times a week. So I thought I'd just, I'm a math teacher. Like, I have to preface that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I don't want to be misleading. So first, we're talking about cardiovascular health. So because of the heat stress, your blood is flowing more, your heart is working harder. So it's kind of like when you are in the sauna and feeling that heat stress, your heart is working out as though you're working out. You're just not contracting your like actual muscles, like your muscular skeletal system. So it's, you know, so it's been shown to have a decreased risk of hypertension, decreased risk of cardiovascular disease, sudden cardiac death, and all-cause mortality. Again, once you're using it more, you're practicing it, you're exercising it that way. Of course, if it's like, if you have major heart problems and this is your first time getting in a sauna, take it really easy and really slow. And it might not be, you know, recommended by your doctor yet. But doing that more and more often, good exercise for your heart. Beneficial for muscles. So there are these things in your body called the heat shock proteins. Heat shock proteins make sure that proteins are in proper alignment and amino acids are going to the right spot to be connected with other amino acids to become proteins. So when you have those heat shock proteins, they're going into your muscle fibers and they're putting those things back together. So kind of helping with muscle recovery after a long workout. Also, the heat also increases your growth hormones and improves insulin sensitivity, because with the extra blood flow means that you're getting more glucose, fatty acid, and oxygen into the muscles instead of you using your glycogen reserves, stuff like that. I've talked to several people who use a sauna for their arthritic pain. So bad knees and hips and stuff like that. The muscles are relaxed. They're able to move the muscle, or they're able to move their joints a lot easier. So when people have arthritic flare-ups, you'll see plenty of people in the sauna doing that. The biggest benefit that I like, and I know that a lot of people need, is sleep. So how does a sauna work for sleep? So when you're in the sauna, your whole body gets really hot, especially your core. But then your core is like, uh-oh, we're getting too hot. So that heat goes out through your hands and your feet and brings down the core temperature of your body. Bringing down the core temperature of your body is the classic way to initiate sleep. It's a signal to your body that, hey, it's time to go to sleep. And so that helps. And so studies have been showing, not only in elderly people, but also people with insomnia, saunas, and like similar to hot baths, have been able to show or have been able to help people fall asleep and stay asleep for longer, which is always good, especially now when people are like not sleeping at all. There's possible connections with a decreased risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. They're wondering though if that has to do with a hot and cold therapy, or if that has to do more with the social aspect of being in a sauna with your friends and catching up on stuff and, you know, making positive memories, things of that nature. And then, yeah, there's so many more. And so once when I was at the 612 sauna, you know, when you have newer people and you're kind of introducing sauna to them and you're talking about just, you know, how great it is for your body and how wonderful it is. There was a Russian in there and he was like, yeah, it helps you pay your bills, you know, it gives you better hair. And I was just like, you know, it's just kind of a common thing that people just love talking about, just the benefits of sauna and how nice it feels and how wonderful it is. So So when you come to a sauna, what to bring. So you'll have your swimsuit on, you'll sit on a towel, have another towel to dry off with. Flip-flops are always a good idea, just for going outside and, you know, kind of being on the gravel and stuff like that. Let's see what else. What I would recommend is doing sauna rounds. So whenever I say, oh yeah, your reservation is for an hour, people say, are you staying in the sauna for the whole hour? No, friend. So you do sauna rounds. So you're going back and forth between the hot and the cold. Stay inside for like 10-ish to 15 minutes and then step outside for about the same time. Typically that's what's said. Because I'm a health and wellness person, because I'm a massage therapist, I care about bodies, I care about mental health. I'm a much bigger fan of listening to your body. Because we've been in front of a computer screen for so long, or we've been in long meetings and we focus so much on work, we've stopped listening to our bodies. We ignore, you know, we ignore when our body's telling us that we're hungry, when we're thirsty, when we have to go to the bathroom. Since we've stopped listening to those signals, our body's kind of like, oh, all right, well then you're not going to listen to me. Well, I'm not going to tell you. Then we get in on top of stress and all of that other stuff. Then we get into really bad, not only unhealthy habits, but, you know, certain diseases and complications with your body. So I'm a bigger fan of listening to your body. What does it feel like when your body tells you it's too hot in here, we need to go? Or when you go outside, oh boy, it's really cold outside, we should probably head out and in. It's that kind of practice so we can get back into our bodies, so we can get back into these things that we live in all day, all the time. I think that's super important. During the cool down, I personally, and I know a lot of other sauna people are going to be like, come on. I just like standing outside. I think when it's cold enough outside, that will do the trick. If you want to roll in the snow, go for it. Not for me. If you want to dunk yourself with water, go for it. Not for me. Can't handle it. Not a big fan. But you do you. You do what feels good. I like that. Yes, and so if you're coming in for the first time, you've never done sauna before, the bottom bench is your friend. It is astounding how much of a heat difference there is between the top bench and the bottom bench. So the bottom bench is a lot cooler. You're right near the cool air coming in. It's a great place to be. When the sauna, okay, so sometimes I get questions about what is the deal with the water and putting the water on the rocks. So on top of the stove, we have a bunch of rocks, most of them pretty much from northern Minnesota. Those are the things that heat up. When you put the water on the rocks, it creates steam. Then all of a sudden in a sauna, it feels really, really hot. Even though if you were to look and see what the temperature is, it didn't change at all. Why? It's kind of like imagining putting your hand in room temperature water. It just feels warmer. So it's kind of the heat conduction property of water in general, just feeling hotter. So if anybody's going to put water on the rocks and it's your first time, you should probably go to the bottom bench. Otherwise, you might not have a good time for that little moment. And that's okay. And then my last thing, I don't know if you've ever seen those funny sauna hats. They kind of are like pointed and look like little gnome hats. Those are kind of a traditional Finnish sauna thing. Russian banyas wear them as well. They're made out of felted wool and are made to insulate your head. So it's kind of protecting your hair, your ears from the heat outside, and just make it so your head doesn't get overheated. And then they claim that you can stay in the sauna longer. And I like that. So All right, that's all I have. Are there any questions? Because I love talking about this.
Margaret, I would agree with you that this format was so cool so that you could take us on a tour. Otherwise, the coordination of this would have been a little bit complicated. So I appreciate that. But I wanted to, for my own clarity, this is just a part of your business. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In many bathhouse traditions, like in Germany for sure, hammams in general, you have the component of sauna and massage. So this is, last year was the first year that I started the sauna, and I was able to then see and practice and get used to either having people in the sauna first or having people do the massage first. And what I've found is, first of all, it's a personal preference. And then, but if there's anything to say about it, when a person gets out of the sauna and I put my hands on them, melt. They're whatnots, because I just sink directly into it. So I have people who have really, really bad neck pain. They get in the sauna for a half an hour. I get them on the table. I just sink right in. Those trigger points are gone in seconds. But I have other people who energetically, they would prefer to have the massage first and get in the sauna and really focus on getting their own stress and kind of demons, mental stuff out at the same time. So it's been interesting because, you know, I've seen it both ways and people enjoy it both ways. So
I have a question, Margaret.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's. I mean, you know, you have on your massage, your association's got restrictions about people you cannot see yet. You know, how do they affect the massage? Because it seems like your COVID restrictions on massage are a lot more stricter and kind of like limiting your ability to serve all your clients versus the sauna. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So, of course, to clarify, if you find a massage therapist in Minnesota, a lot of us are a little salty that we don't have state licensure. So we are city by city, and there's a lot of, pros and cons when it comes to regulation, but we don't have we don't have upper management, I don't know what to call it, to tell us and give us guidelines. So a lot of massage therapists are kind of going at it as they will. I've been following what national massage therapists have said of, these are the people it would be okay to see, these people you probably want to wait on. So I have put it out there with, if you have certain conditions, if you have certain like blood clotting issues and heart issues, respiratory stuff. I'm looking even at my elderly folks. I was like, I don't want to see you quite yet. But I've left it up to the person whether or not they're ready. Of course, if they come in with any symptoms or they have been knowingly in contact with someone who does have COVID, I don't want to see them either. But ultimately, I think people have slowly but surely come back. I've set, since I was able to reopen in June, I've set my restrictions and boundaries to a pretty strict level. I only see 4 people a day, period. There's a half of an hour in between sessions, both in the massages and in the sauna. To clear out the basic cleaning area. What else too? I have a HEPA air filter in the room at all times. The client wears a mask when they're face up. when they're face down, they can take off their mask, but they're breathing into a pillowcase. And then I don't work on people's jaws, which is super unfortunate because if anybody out there has TMJ issues, oh, it's unbearable. But I can't work on that right now.
Okay.
So.
Any other questions before we move on the agenda for Margaret? Anybody else?
Oh, I have one quick one. So Margaret, is it mobile? Like, can you come to people who, have disabilities or businesses that want to do, wellness times? I'm just wondering, it seems like that could be a big benefit for you.
Yes. So last year I moved it between here and my partner's gym in Minnetonka. It was a lot of moving. So I did want to take a big piece of that out, just because it's a lot of energy to get this hitched up and moved around. Also, because of the restricted time that I need in between people, I kind of need like a certain schedule, and I need to make sure that those things are, booked and ready to go. So I'm not going to move it somewhere and have nobody come in it because they're too nervous about, being in a space, even though I only have private reservations. So yes, I am able to move it. I can move it. And it's interesting you say like people with disabilities. So I am the only sauna I know where I designed it so that I could potentially fit someone in a wheelchair in here. There is another gym in Minnetonka that does works with athletes in adaptive sports. And so I'm going to start collaborating with him to see if it is possible to fit someone in here to do that. I would love to be able to take it to events, but again, like I would love to take it to like sober events, wellness events, but unfortunately I can't have a bunch of strangers in here. It's got to be everybody in your pod. So good question.
Well, and Margaret, to that same point, I'm seeing this trend pop up, and I don't know if it's new or I'm just noticing it, where neighborhoods are having gatherings because they really can't, like all the festivals are canceled, and they'll have food trucks come in. So I'm thinking when we do get to a point where it's a little safer to be with groups, neighborhood gatherings would be a really fun thing to, you get to food trucks, but you also bring in the sauna. I think that'd be a really, really fun addition. So
that's a fantastic idea.
Put that in your back pocket.
Got it. Yes, another suggestion I had gotten to was like sports teams right now. So if I can get like, the U of M women's cross country skiing team or something like that, that'd be kind of dope.
Okay, well, thank you, Margaret. It's obviously a passion for you and a really, really interesting venture. And I think it fits your health and wellness business very, very well. It's a very good choice.
Big time.
So thank you for presenting. It's great. And by the way, there's, I want to make sure the invitation's out there. You can contact Victoria or myself if anybody else, or if you know of a business in Golden Valley that we'd like to hear a presentation from, send them our way. All we ask is that you put GBC on the subject matter, make sure it doesn't get buried. For suggestions or any business owners that are interested in giving a presentation. With that, I'm going to move on with, yes.
Sorry, really quickly, just wanted to also mention that Victoria is recording this session, and we will share this out publicly on our Facebook page and YouTube. So if you want to share Margaret's business with somebody else and the cool work that she's doing, you can send this video to them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that reminder, Betsy. So yeah, I think this is a great gathering of information, and definitely a good opportunity to present to the community, and so that would be a really good suggestion to promote the content of this, and also to get more people invited that have businesses in the area that are linked or supportive to Golden Valley. With that, I think it's time for our city updates. And that means I see Maurice and Mark are still with us here, and I'm assuming that you guys have a lot of exciting stuff to tell us what's going on in the city of Golden Valley.
Maurice, are you interested in leading this, or would you like me to start with some comments? All right. Well, maybe I'll just start, and Maurice jump in if there's anything I miss or you'd like to add. So a couple of things happening in Golden Valley. We approved a task force the other night at a council meeting to look at our municipal facilities. And I think I mentioned this perhaps at our last meeting, but basically we are at a point where we need to lay out some plans for the future of Golden Valley, and need to kind of figure out what might happen on what's, a pretty significant chunk of land in downtown Golden Valley where City Hall resides. We did an analysis of our fire service a few years ago, and we are looking at moving towards what we call a 2-station model instead of the 3 stations that we have, and then utilizing what we call duty crews. One of the challenges of a paid on-call fire department is that it's difficult to recruit people and retain people. The paid on-call model is very taxing on people and their personal and professional lives. And so moving to duty crews where time is more scheduled is something that is seen as a good, affordable way to manage emergency services. But we do have some deficiencies in our current facilities, and so that's one component. We've also been working the last 2 years or so on a big study of downtown and what our downtown area should be in the future, and that mainly includes the intersection around Winnetka and Golden Valley Road, but also moves to the west over to the area where we call Highway 55 West. And that kind of includes Culvers and Hello and that area around Boone. So so these things are really kind of coming together now, and we're putting more detail to our plans, and looking at what might happen on our campus, what might move off campus, namely public works, and really just looking at what's the cost of doing that, what are the space needs, what are the logistics around that. All very important for planning and even more importantly, managing our costs and our budget. Similarly, our council is still taking applications, I believe, for our police commission task force. We're looking at doing things a little bit differently than we have been doing with our police department and our civil service commission. So we're establishing a task force to look at what that should be, what that should look like, how it should function, all those kinds of things. So if you're interested, feel free to take a look at that application on our website. So those are a few of the more recent things. I will say this week we're very excited because the bonding bill was signed by the governor last night. And this is significant for the city in a couple of areas. One, we have our Decola Ponds flood mitigation project that we've been working on with Crystal and New Hope and the DNR and the Watershed Commission over the last, decade or so. And we've implemented a number of component projects, and we're trying to keep that process moving forward, and trying to keep Winnetka and Medicine Lake Road passable in a large rain and flood event, trying to protect homes and businesses in that area. There's just so much water that comes into that area and impacts buildings and properties.
Yeah, I know they're.
Let's see here. The DNR actually received significant funding for their flood mitigation program in the bonding bill, and we have had successful projects and should continue to be able to take advantage of those dollars. And then the other piece is that we received $6.5 million for a project that we've been planning for roughly the last 10 years at Douglas and Highway 55. And that is the construction of an underpass under Highway 55 from the north side to the south side at the Perpich Center. And the need here has been significant. Students are dropped off on the north side of Highway 55, many of them taking Metro Transit buses. And then they end up having to cross a busy highway during rush hour. And we all know that high school students don't necessarily make the best decisions. Fortunately, we've not had any incidents or problems yet, but been fearful of someone getting hit or worse at that intersection. Additionally, this will connect some routes north and south for us for pedestrian and bicycles, and that's been a big goal for the city as part of our bike and pedestrian plan is north-south routes. We have a number of east-west routes, but north-south has been difficult. So we're thrilled. We feel a little bit like the dog that caught the car, and now we've got to get some things moving. But we are actually in the process of doing 75% engineering plans for that project already. So we're going to just continue moving forward to probably some final design and construction. So those are a few exciting things that have been happening in Golden Valley. Maurice, perhaps you have some other thoughts or things to discuss if you can hear us, or if your technology problem is solved.
Yeah, it's solved. Sorry, forgive me for technology getting away as always. But yeah, you covered pretty well, Mark. Really excited with the bonding bill being finally passed. Miracles do happen. And thanks to our delegation, Representative Freiberg, Senator Rest, Representative Winkler, and Senator Latz for their work on finally getting us across the finish line. I was kind of joking I would never see a day when this bonding bill finally gets through, but here we are. So it's really great news for the city. For needed projects, Tacoma Ponds you mentioned, to finish that mitigation work with flooding and the intersection with 55 and Douglas. So, when construction starts down the road, obviously, but it's just great news to finally get that through as well. So, and yeah, the police, as I mentioned, the police task force already started interviews this past Tuesday. And we do it for the next few weeks. So it's going to, hopefully we have interviews are done by early November and have that appointed by Wednesday, the day after election day, we meet again as well. And that also the task force for the facility study has been appointed. So work gets started soon. And, as you mentioned, kind of start planning our future out with the facilities for our city, and also big part of the downtown study too of how to reimagine that campus. So we're, it's been a busy month. Getting to the end of the year, can't believe it was already mid-October. It's snowing again. So, that's all we have from the city. And take any questions or comments.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you, Mark. Any questions, everybody? It looks like they're doing great work. Peggy, go ahead. Oh, Peggy, we gotta get you on mute, off mute here. Peggy, you're
okay,
there we go.
Okay, thank you. I've sometimes wondered why the plan to reduce the fire stations from 3 to 2, doesn't that also reduce the response time when there is a fire?
That's a good question. And my recollection from that study is that proper location of the fire stations, and combined with actually having duty crews who are at the station, should increase response time. Part of our problem right now is that by the time our firefighters leave their homes or businesses, get to the station, get their gear on, and then get out, that delays a good deal of our arrival time. In fact, sometimes a lot of times St. Louis Park, we have mutual aid with our surrounding cities because they have station staff. They're able to get to events sometimes before we are. So with roads like Highway 55, events during rush hour, it can be a challenge sometimes to get to our stations. So the 2 stations with the duty crews is the model that we're moving towards to increase response time.
Thank you, Mark.
Ditto.
Thank you, Peggy.
And I've talked with the fire chief about this, previous conversations about just its efficiency of crews, having that part-time if we get to that point with 2 stations with a crew on staff. It'd just be quicker response time for that. So it's, it may seem you're reducing 1, but the 2 fire stations that the fire stations currently have do not host, people can't sleep overnight, for example. And so that kind of, even though you may see a second fire or third fire station, there's not a full-time crew or even a part-time crew. So that kind of cuts in the sense of just response time and be able to get there. So it may sound we're taking 1 out, but in a sense of having just that crew there ready to go at a moment's notice, that just in a sense increase that time that you may, it balances itself out in a sense when you think about it.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for your question, Peggy. It was a good question. Okay, well, with that, we'll go up our school district updates. Christine had to leave for Robbinsdale, so I'm going to go right to Hopkins.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So again, excited to be here. I am being a Golden Valley resident since we hadn't actually had a Golden Valley resident on the Hopkins School Board since Betsy, and I believe that was about a 4-year gap. So I'm excited to help reconnect Golden Valley to the Hopkins School District. I have a coworker in the background. Sorry, that's Humphrey. He's also a Golden Valley resident. And the Hopkins Public School students are also right in the other room, so I anticipate them joining us as well. So apologies in advance. I've been on the school board now for about 9 months, and to say it's been trial by fire, I think would be like an understatement of the year. So obviously, we're dealing with the same 2 things that the majority of school districts are dealing with. First and foremost, on the COVID front, the Hopkins School District is following MDE guidelines. We are in a hybrid for our elementary students. We're in distance learning for our high school students. And what that means is that our elementary students are in either 4 or 2 days a week, and that our high school students are home full time, as well as our junior high students. Obviously, it's not ideal. We have space constraints associated with trying to cover it, as well as staffing constraints and budget constraints and all sorts of constraints. And so we added a new learning management system to facilitate our distance learners. It's, as with any new technology platform, has its challenges and its benefits, but we're about 25% of the way to proficiency on that, I would say. Overall, things have been really positive. Right now, we're obviously receiving a lot of feedback from the community about sending our students back full-time, getting our secondary students back full-time. Unfortunately, from a staffing perspective, as well as MDE guidelines, it doesn't look like where we're headed. We are putting together a dashboard that will help facilitate understanding in our community around our staffing and budgeting numbers and how they correlate with those virus numbers. So a lot going on there. As far as the other sort of pandemic, I would say that's faced Hopkins School District, it would be, the death of George Floyd, the response from our students and community around police presence in our schools. So another really large item that the Hopkins School Board has recently had to contend with was our contract with the Minnetonka Police Department for a school resource officer being placed within the high school. We did choose to, at the end of the year, allow our contract with the Minnetonka Police Department to expire for a specific school resource officer. What we're working towards is facilitating more training for the police department around handling school incidents, as well as more mental health support. It was about $113,000 that we were paying for a resource officer that we're reinvesting in training for the police department, as well as resources within our school for more appropriate response to incidents. The other big thing I would say to share with you guys, and this isn't true to just Hopkins, it's going to be true to Robbinsdale and Betsy, I'll be curious if it's true with Perpich, but statewide and countrywide, we're seeing a massive decrease in enrollment in public school districts. I'm sure you guys know that our enrollment numbers are correlating directly to our budget and then the funds that we receive from the state. So the loss of about 100 students is what we saw this year, due to a few different things. Primarily, it's been due to parents who have children on that cusp about whether they're going to go into kindergarten or not, choosing to delay the entrance into kindergarten until next year. But we've also seen parents pulling their students out of public schools, enrolling them in parochial or private educations based on a better model for their families, or choosing to homeschool their children. And so that 100 students is really correlated to about $1 million budget reduction for us from the state as far as funds go, which complicates matters in an already really tight budget. So on the good news side, we have had 4 new leaders join Hopkins Public Schools. So it was a huge shift. We've got new leadership at Hopkins High School. We brought a new principal in, her name is Crystal Ballard. We brought in a new principal at North Junior High. His name is Julius Aromaselli. New principal at Meadowbrook, Natalie Sawatsky, has moved into Greta Evans-Becker position as principal at Meadowbrook and brought in Trenton Lawson as a new assistant principal. And then Principal Navi Dodd at Alice Smith has joined us. And so that's all really exciting news and good news for us because we've got some really great diverse leaders bringing new voices to the Hopkins School District. I would say that's pretty much everything. If that wasn't enough, I'm sure I could come up with more. Any questions for me at all about things going on within the Hopkins Public Schools?
I'm kind of curious, when you have the shortfalls like that, and this may not be your area, but how does that affect your ability to pay bonds, municipal bonds that might be out there that you're having to pay?
You know, actually, really good question. So the funding cycles in the public schools are pretty crazy. But one of the things that we're seeing is we have these budgeting shortfalls, but those are mostly operational, looking at how we pay out for our general fund, which is truly like the day-to-day salaries and stuff like that. From a financial position, we actually just had a special board meeting where we reallocated bonds and municipal funds, and we're able to save our taxpayers about $5 million due to interest rates right now. And so by, as far as like the overall financial position, we're very highly rated as far as a strong financial position. We've refinanced our bonds, all of that. As far as operating budget, which is a separate bucket of funds, that's more where we're constrained.
Katie, can you elaborate? I mean, I was kind of, your update was really great. I have a question. You changed quite a few principles. Is that something in the planning, or that's kind of a shocker to me?
It is, and it was a surprise to us as well. A few of them were expected, and a few of them were, I think, truly due to the fact that you know, one of our principals chose to retire. One of our principals chose to go make a change and go back to education versus leadership. And I think that it's a lot of us over the past, is it 9 months, 6 months, have really reevaluated the time and the amount of stress that we're willing to take on. And I think some of it really has to do with people making personal changes about whether or not they're willing to, or if they have the wherewithal to do the work that needs to be done. And it takes, I think, a lot more than what a lot of people were anticipating during this crazy time in public education. It's my guess. I mean, I don't know the specifics on everybody, But what I will say is that there were, I would say about half of them were expected and about half of them weren't.
Okay. Well, thanks for the update. Any other questions?
If I could, Gary?
Yeah, go right.
Quick question.
Well,
I'm wondering, with the state guidelines that outline, you know, hybrid models, or everybody can go back to school, or everybody can't be in school, period. How, do you know how close to the bubble are we where the guidance is going to require schools to flip to a different model?
So the bubble, if you will, is based on a rolling 2-week number of positive cases per 10,000 people by county. So it's not really statewide. What we're looking at is primarily Hennepin County's numbers, and they're basically in tens. So 0 to 10 per 10,000 is full in person. 10 to 20 is full hybrid. 20 to 30, which is where we were going into the school year, we were at 22 cases per 10,000 in Hennepin County, required us with the hybrid for elementary and the distance for high school. But what I will say is that that's just one piece of the guidance and what we have to balance. The other piece of it is our staffing, right? If we have teachers who are unwilling or unable to go back into the classroom, we can't flip our models. And so those numbers will adjust. But what we can't adjust as much on the fly is our model and how we're doing that. And so the numbers right now are at 14, I think the last time I checked, but it is a rolling 2-week number, but trending upwards. And so pivoting is going to be more likely for us towards full distance again before it's going to be full in person. But those numbers are just one element of all of the different levers as a district that we have to weigh when making these decisions. So
that's helpful. That's interesting. Thank you.
Sure. Betsy?
Yeah. I'll give just a really quick, very specific Meadowbrook update, that if you can't handle making dinner tonight, then you should go to Noodles and Company, because 50% of your order will go to the Meadowbrook PTO. As long as you mention that you're ordering for Meadowbrook's fundraiser, 50% of your order comes right back to your local community in the school. So, you know, if life's just getting too hard and you need to take dinner off your plate and have somebody else put it on your plate, then go to Noodles and Co. tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Betsy. Any other questions for me? And feel free to reach out to me directly as well. I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, appreciate the time, guys.
Thank you, Katie.
Betsy?
Oh, go ahead, Peggy.
Yeah, Betsy, I think there's more than one Noodles. Which one?
The one in Golden Valley, the one that was over by the grocery store by Cub is no longer there. So there is a Noodles and Co. at the same, is it Golden Valley Commons? Is that the name of it? Where Starbucks is and Patina, it's in that area. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. With that, why don't we go right into Betsy with your report, school report at the Perfect Center.
Yes, so we have we're in our second set of 3-week rotations right now. We've got all of our Perfect students split into thirds by art area, and every week we have 1/3 of our students on campus and in the dorms. So one third of the students on campus, 2/3 of those students in distance learning. So far, so good. It's working okay. But teaching teenagers to keep their distance is a challenge for sure. But they are all incredibly committed to maintaining this model so that they can be on campus. So that messaging is sinking in. And the nice thing about the way that we have this set up is that if and when someone will need to quarantine, they're off campus for 2 weeks by the model. So there's the automatic quarantine built in so that they can, you know, if they have some sort of exposure when they're on campus, then they're off campus for 2 weeks and then hopefully can return when their group returns to campus. So that is going well. We will have some virtual events coming up, a virtual gallery opening. Our theater students have been working on radio production, so that they can do that remotely across the state. They've been adapting some Anton Chekhov plays into a radio production. And then when they were on campus, kind of crazy pictures that we got, they had these sort of COVID recording booths built in the performance hall, where the students could enter into this booth, and it's all you know, enclosed, and that's where they could do their recording, but they could still see each other. So boy, creative solutions needed for strange times. But yes, things continue to function at Perpich, and we are crossing our fingers every day.
Great.
And I can go into a
Any
Rotary
questions?
update now. Oh, sorry, Gary.
Yeah, well, it's just if there's any questions about Perpich
Sure.
first. Anybody? Okay, go for the Rotary update.
All right, beautiful. So switching Perpich hat to the Rotary hat, next Tuesday, October 27th, is our annual Business of the Year presentation, and you are all invited to join us virtually on Zoom. The presentation is Tuesday, October 27th, 12:15 p.m., and this year's recipient is Best Wishes Floral. So please feel free to join us. The invitation details will be on Facebook. We also emailed out invitations to people who had come to former events. I might send the invitation details to Victoria, and perhaps Victoria could also share that out with the Business Council mailing list. That would be great. Also on Tuesday, October 27th, we have a volunteer opportunity. So if you are looking to get outside and do something good for the community, the Rotary will be doing its annual highway cleanup on Highway 55. That's scheduled Tuesday, October 27th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. We meet at the northeast corner of Highway 55 and Winnetka Avenue. So in that area, again, in that same space where Noodles and Patina and Starbucks is, we meet in the parking lot there, get our yellow vests geared on, get our rubber gloves and gardening gloves, and head out into the highway trenches. So please feel free to join us for that. And as always, an ongoing invitation for everyone to join us any Tuesday that they would like for a Rotary meeting. Those are from 12:15 to 1:15 virtually. And we also post all of the videos of our meetings on many platforms. Those videos are posted on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. So if you can't join us on Tuesday and you're still interested in the topic or would like to see what a meeting is like, please feel free to watch one of those videos, and hopefully you can join us live sometime.
Well, that's a great report for the Rotary there. It's very exciting, and I want to encourage everybody to do that. Victoria, you want to give us any Twin West updates?
Yes, thank you. So you guys probably have heard the news that Shannon will be leaving us. Her last day will be Friday, November 13th, and she's going to be leading the Fargo-Moorhead Chamber, which we're very excited for her, but we're sad to see her go. So yeah, so we're, it's kind of a crazy time because again, we're, merging with Minneapolis. So we've been kind of making those transitions, and now the transition from her too. But Jonathan will be hiring a person to replace her. So that search will probably be starting, shortly here. So we will still have our West End office, and so it'll be great to be able to still have that representation, even though she'll be moving on to bigger and better things. So we'll be excited to wish her well in a couple weeks. So yes, the merger is moving forward. We're going through all these processes to figure out what we combine, what we keep. So that has been a project. I'm excited to say that John Paul is back on staff. He started a week or two ago, so it's great to have him back. And I'm not exactly sure who will be taking over the business councils going forward on a long-term basis. I think it might even be someone from Minneapolis that's taking over that piece. So again, we'll see. It might be me, might be John Paul, might be somebody new. So that'll be coming for all of us, that news shortly in the next, I believe next week. So that'll be exciting. Wanted to invite you to our Issues and Insights event. We extended that series. Usually it's just, it ended usually in June, but we held it over the summer, and now even kind of making that an annual or a full year program. So we are extending all the season pass holders and the sponsors all the way through January, and then we'll start our new series in January. But those are still live webinars that are free to everybody. So again, we'd love to have you join us. That event is Friday, November 13th, and the topic will be post-election recap, kind of analysis of what that means for Minnesota and our country. Blois Olson will be the keynote speaker, and I'm sure you're familiar with him. He was, actually a Twin West contractor back when I first started. So, of course, he's gone on to bigger and better things since then, but he's a familiar face for us as well. So again, hop on to register or see me to get you on board with that. And I guess the only other thing I have is wondering what our next meeting should be, because the Thursday of November is Thanksgiving. So I don't know what you guys usually do, because I'm sure that's probably a consistent issue for you. So I'm sure you guys have a plan, but just want to know what that is.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I think usually what it also happens is in December, we run into the same problem.
Right, exactly.
The last couple of years, we sort of split the difference, and we've met, I think we've met like maybe the second week of December.
And then just had one for November and December.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
So we can assess the group's interest in doing something like that.
Yeah, does anyone have any?
I'm sorry. Any other questions for Victoria? Dean Pink with the Golden Valley Foundation. Are you available for an update?
I am. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's thunder in the background. We're having thunder snowstorms. Like my cat took off as soon as it started. He was accompanying me up to that point. Just an update. Thanks very much, Gary, for giving me an opportunity for the foundation. Right now, we are working on 3 initiatives within the foundation, turning internally at this point, just to clean house and open up the our opportunities. We are in the process of searching for an executive director, which is a part-time position. We're also recruiting board members and committee members to serve on foundation committees and activities. And the third thing is increasing our outreach to the community to raise funds for our unrestricted areas so that we can invest in the future of Golden Valley more effectively. And just to let you know, our COVID-19 fund is still open, excuse me, and we had raised over $27,000 for COVID funding in the Golden Valley and area, serving the area residents and businesses and that sort of thing, to help those people directly inline by funding nonprofits who are helping provide food and clothing and some PPE we gave to some of the schools, again, through grants that we received and funds that we had raised. What we're looking for, going back to recruiting, is looking for people who are interested in helping us move into our second generation, our second tenure of service. We're almost 10 years old now, and we are looking forward to 2020 or 2.0, starting again with an emphasis on what we can do to enhance the community in Golden Valley and our surrounding areas, which includes New Hope, Crystal, Robbinsdale, northern part of St. Louis Park, and western Minneapolis. So our challenge this year is, and going into next year, is recruiting more people from the business, from the nonprofit, from education, financial planners and that sort of thing, to strengthen our house and give us a better opportunity to do investments in the future for the future of Golden Valley.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean. Any questions, anybody? Any other announcements? Well, I do want to ask Kara or Dan, if they're willing to share their good news.
Hi, this is Kara. Yes, I certainly can. As I mentioned, here, I'll put my video back on. We are closing this afternoon on Valley Plaza office building located at 4800 Olson Memorial Highway, just adjacent to the Room and Board building and the Sunrise Senior Living building. This building has been held in receivership for about 8 years. So we are looking forward to getting in there and taking care of the property and really making it look like a nice corner again. So I think it needs some attention, and we look forward to providing that to the city and the residents and the community, and then looking for a few more tenants. So if anybody hears of anybody, we're a great landlord. We love to work with people. If you think of anybody looking to get out of downtown and join Golden Valley, please send them our way. We think it's a great opportunity for some of these businesses that unfortunately are unhappy in their Minneapolis locations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if I don't think I missed anybody for any updates. I do want to thank Margaret again for being our speaker today. And I want to thank everybody for attending. And I think we'll adjourn the meeting if there's no other updates or anybody wants to share any more.
Gary?
Victoria?
Yes, so the next meeting is Thanksgiving. And so I think maybe I cut out or whatnot before, but I'm wondering when we should hold our next meeting. I know that Betsy was saying that usually you guys maybe do combine November and December, because December falls your meeting time on a holiday as well. So wondering, I was just looked at the calendar, and maybe December 10th might be a good time. Do you guys want to combine that, or what are your thoughts as a group here, what the next meeting time should be?
I kind of like the idea of a December 10th meeting, or somewhere around that week, if that's agreeable to everybody. The idea being is that historically we've just kind of like left it to see if there's anything on the agenda. There is usually something that came up by then, and I think that with our new invite, I'm sure we can get on the local business to speak by then. And in these times, I think with Zoom meetings and everything, I think it's important that we stay in communication with each other. So my feeling is that we should set a date if everybody's agreeable that week. That's a Tuesday on the 10th. Normally we meet on a Thursday. What's everybody's feeling?
Nope, that's a Thursday. December 10th is a Thursday.
Oh, you know what? I'm on November. Thank you. Yeah.
Keep on moving.
Okay.
Yeah, and you
okay,
know,
there we go.
We'll also have, I mean, whether it'll be a topic that'll be old at that point, but it would be our next meeting post-election. And so if there was any sort of election update or legislative update, we could incorporate that into that meeting as well.
That's true. That is true. There'll probably be, the world will be a different place one way or the other. One thing for sure will be different in December. So why don't we just go ahead and plan for the 10th of December? Everybody in favor?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, great.
Yes.
All thumbs up. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss before we adjourn?
Is 8:30 a good time for everyone? Okay, because one of the feedbacks that I gave to the Minneapolis Chamber last week was the fact that with the various committees in Twin West, they're meeting at all sorts of times, 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9, and I suggested it would be nice if these meetings were consistent, so that you always knew, okay, if there's a chamber meeting, it's going to start at 8 or 8:30. So just as everyone like 8:30 with this group?
Well, Dan, I would, whatever the group decides, of course, but I would second your motion. Consistency is good. And the thing I used to love about the legislative breakfast meetings is that they were early. They started at 7:30, they were done by 9. You know, you kind of start your day, you're done. I think for me personally, and it's just me, but I think that with a Zoom meeting, when you hit the 1 hour mark, you're pretty fried after that. So, I mean, I like the idea of starting early and keeping it concise. And, you know, I'd rather have more short meetings than a long meeting that is just kind of tough to sit through. So that's just my 2 cents worth on that.
And from a
Well, that's
perspective
an interesting.
of someone who's got young kids, if we start any earlier, I'll always be late. So as I always was late when we met in person. But 8:30 does get me back in front of the computer, get them off to school, and get me back in front of a computer in time to meet with you.
Okay.
In terms of the length,
you brought up
I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead,
in terms of
Victoria.
the length, the, like Al was saying, we did shorten the St. Louis Park Business Council meeting to just be an hour. So, you know, I think that, you know, could be something if we want to, again, try to be consistent, you know, so, but again, this one always was an hour and a half. So, you know, just something, another piece to consider.
Yeah, I like the idea of if we can make an hour work. I think that would be probably with good point, Al. It's a Zoom meeting. Normally, in-person meetings, there's a lot more different interaction than a Zoom meeting. So I do like the idea of an hour when it's a Zoom meeting, because historically we've been an hour and a half at this meeting, and maybe it's time to change that and try focusing in on an hour. I do. Is everybody? I think that's a great idea. I don't have the timing thing resolved, but how do we all feel about shortening this meeting to an hour? Is that agreeable to everybody?
I think an hour is a great amount of time. So,
Okay.
so that
I
sounds
agree
good.
with that.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
just suggest that maybe in the future, guest speakers be 20 minutes. They can usually get it all
Okay.
done within that amount of time.
Okay. Yeah, because we usually shorten that. But
That's what we did
Margaret
in
was
the
very
St. Louis
good, and
Park
she
Business
filled her
Council.
40. Yeah.
I was gonna
Margaret, by the
say-
way, you did very good. You did a good job, and you filled your 45 minutes beautifully without redundancy. So congratulations.
Well, appreciate it.
Okay. So are we okay still for the 8:30 time and keep it under advisement? Okay, we used to meet at 7:30, but that was also because we want to get our day started, and we used to, we used to go to a location. So I guess that we can continue to look at that 8 to 8:30 time. But Betsy brings up a good point, especially people with children in schools. Life is really turned upside down for them. And I know that with my own clients and employees here, that school life and parenting has totally changed this year. And so I do really understand that that timing there is in the morning is kind of tough. But I like to keep it at 8:30 right now until we see some interest that might want to go to 8. Okay, but I don't think we can get to 7:30 and get as much attendance as we used to get as a drive up or as a going to a location. That's just my thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I think in the past when we had meetings on site, there was always the opportunity to schmooze and have side conversations. And with a Zoom meeting, it's not readily available to do that. And so I think just looking at it from an hour perspective, we can probably communicate what we need to do and hear what we need to, and then move on.
Okay. Duly noted. Great input. Well, everybody have, I guess it's close enough to a weekend to say have a great weekend and a great rest of your week, and watch out for that thunder snow out there. And it was great to see everybody and get to visit with everybody. So thank you very much for attending, and see you the December 10th, if not sooner.
Thanks,
Happy
Eric.
Thanksgiving.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Karen.
everyone. Happy Thanksgiving too.
Thanks.
Remember to vote.
I know.
Vote early.